you gorgeous individuals, it's Kav here, and today I'm going to be bringing you all my summer reading wrap-up. Today I'm going to be talking about all the books I read this past summer because I like wrap-ups, but I don't like doing them monthly because then I get discouraged with my reading month, so I decided this would be a good time to do my wrap-up, so let's just jump right into all the books I've read recently. The first book is not exactly a book. I've talked about it quite a few times, but it is NB Love Story by my friend Mason, who is an incredible writer, and they wrote a book featuring a non-binary main character, and it is lovely, and I was lucky enough to beta read this incredible work of art, and I'm so excited for this to come out in the world someday. The next book on my list is also not exactly a book. It is an arc. It is none other than 27 Hours by Tristina Wright, which is a fabulous novel that I enjoyed so much. I will link my review of it up here, and it has amazing queer representation and disability representation that I just loved, although I should note that it has been pointed out that there was some iffy race rep that you should be aware of when going into this novel, because it is kind of complex and there are nuances and such to discuss, so it is something to be aware of and note and listen to the people of color readers who have read it and what their thoughts are. 27 Hours is a story that follows a group of 5 teens that basically need to save the day, and they do it better than any adults can, because why not have teens be smarter than adults? It's basically true. I didn't say that. It will be out on October 3rd, and I will have links to that book in the description below so that you all can check out this amazing work by the lovely Tristina, who I absolutely adore. But again, note that there has been iffy race rep, but I did absolutely love the book, and it does have good queer rep and disability rep, so just to know all of those things before going into the novel, and get it, read it, love it, and listen to people of color. So those are the only 2 books I read back in June, because June was a horrible reading month for me, but then I read no less than 8 books in July, so let us talk about all of them. The first book I read was Style by Chelsea Cameron, and the reason I have not shown you any of these books is because they were all ebook form, and I can't show ebooks in my videos because then lighting gets weird. I read this book on my flight to my trip, and I finished it in like an hour or an hour and a half, and I absolutely loved it. It was a book about a female by female romance, and it was so cute. It was like a tropey story, but done diversely, and I loved that. I loved how it took all the usual high school tropes, but then made it gay. And the title of the book is the ship name for the 2 characters, Stella and Kyle, which I think is absolutely adorable, don't you? So definitely read this book and support Chelsea, because she is a lovely human being and she wrote a lovely book. The next 2 books I read were summer reading books that I'm just going to breeze by because I don't really want to talk about them any more than I've been forced to. They were Mercy in the City and Where You Go Is Not Who You Will Be. The last summer reading book I had was actually a good one. It was I Am Malala, which is the story of Malala Yousafzai. If you haven't heard of her, I don't know what rock you have been living under. She is an incredible woman who fights for the rights of young girls to get education, and she was the youngest person ever to win the Nobel Prize, I believe, and she is just so incredible and inspirational, and everyone needs to know all about her because she is so incredible, and I'm so thankful I had the opportunity to finally read that novel, because it has been one I have wanted to read for such a long time, because she is just so inspirational and incredible, and I definitely think that everyone needs to be educated on her and the fight she is fighting. And for people who do live in countries like America, like I do, we also need a reality check to note that the world is not how it is just for us. There are other countries who are facing other difficulties, and we need to be more aware of international affairs, and I think that learning Malala's story is a great way to understand what she has been through in her country and in her life. The next book on my list was States and Misfits by S.K. Ali. This was the July Book Band Society's Book of the Month, and it was so good, and I am so thankful they gave me an opportunity to read it with also some lovely people, because all the people there are extremely wonderful, and that book was extremely wonderful. It is actually now one of my favorite books of all time. Saints and Misfits is a story about a Muslim hijabi teen who is also a survivor of sexual assault, and the author handles both of those topics very, very well, and I know that the Muslim aspect is from an own voices perspective. I don't know about the sexual assault aspect, but I absolutely loved this novel. It was so well written. I breezed through it. She wrote about diversity that I haven't actually experienced personally, so I got a chance to actually be educated on what others have experienced. So that was a wonderful opportunity for me, and I am so thankful that this book is out in the world, and I highly recommend it, especially to any Muslim teens who would like to read a book featuring an own voices Muslim hijabi main character. The next book on my list is We Are Okay by Nina LaCour, which I have a full review of, and that will be linked either up there or down there so that you all can check that out, because I absolutely adored this novel. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars, and those were all well-deserved stars, because this is just such an incredible novel. But do be aware that it deals very heavily with themes of grief and loss, so definitely be aware of whether or not you are in a place where you can handle that. But if you can, I highly recommend reading it because it's diverse, it is beautifully written, it deals with very difficult to write topics, and it is just a wonderful novel. And if you would like to hear more about it, then check out my review. The next book I have is The Upside of UNREQUITED by Becky Albertalli. Becky Albertalli is one of the most lovely people in the world. She is such a wonderful human being, and she has written 2 wonderful books, Simon vs. the Homo Sapiens Agenda, and I will link my review to that book either up there or down there so you all can check that out, and The Upside of UNREQUITED, which I read back in July. The Upside of UNREQUITED features a fat main character with anxiety, and it is so great, so diverse, so cute, such cute romance, one of the cutest romances of all time, and as someone who avidly reads cute contemporary romances, that is a huge compliment coming from me. I finished this book in a few hours because it was so good, and it was so wonderfully written, and the diversity was done so well. There were quite a few queer side characters and other diverse side characters as well, and the main character herself was diverse, so there was so much in it. And I highly recommend reading Simon before this, because there are Simon characters who appear in this, and just support Becky Albertalli because she's great, she writes diversely, she cares about her readers. What a great combination! The next book I have on my list is a signed copy of Girl Out of Water by the lovely Laura Silverman. Laura is an absolute wonderful human being who sent me a signed copy of this book when it was on my wish list a few months ago, and I am so thankful to her for sending me this and for getting the chance to read it. And I also gave this book 5 out of 5 stars. I'm pretty sure I gave all of the books I have mentioned, except for my summer reading books, a 5 out of 5 stars because they were all incredible. Girl Out of Water is the perfect summer novel, so if you are going to read it, get on it quickly before it turns into fall, because it is perfect for summer. It is about a surfer in California who has to travel away from her home for one of the first times right at the end of her time with her friends, because she is soon going to college, and it was so lovely. The love interest is a black amputee, which diversity that was done well, and I absolutely loved it. Those were all my July reads, so let us move on to my August reads. The first book I have on my list is The Rest of Us Just Live Here by Patrick Ness. I have talked about this book a number of times because it is absolutely wonderful. Patrick Ness is an extremely talented writer, and I'm going to say the same thing I have said in all my videos talking about The Rest of Us Just Live Here. Patrick Ness has such a unique quality that so many writers do not have, and he brings that to all of his novels, and I don't know what it is, but I have read A Monster Calls and this novel by him, and both of them are so unique and unlike any other novels I have ever read before, so I'm excited to get more into his novels. And The Rest of Us Just Live Here is an interesting play on the chosen one trope, where instead of focusing on the chosen one, it focuses on the ordinary kids, and I absolutely loved how it was done, and there was quite some diversity in it, and all of the specifics of that diversity will be listed in the description below, so you all can have all the information before going into the book. I also read PASHMINA by Nidhi Chanani, which is a graphic novel about an Indian American teen finally coming to terms with being Indian and learning about her culture because she's never gotten the chance to before, and I absolutely loved this graphic novel. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars, and I highly recommend getting it. The next book on my list is The Library of Fates by Aditi Khorana, and this is the August Book Bound Society Book of the Month, and it was absolutely wonderful. The Library of Fates deals with Indian mythology and Indian setting, Indian characters, so diversity, and it does it so well. I absolutely loved reading a book that dealt with parts of my culture and some things that I had grown up learning, and also things that I got to discover by asking my parents about different aspects of our culture. I absolutely loved it. I wasn't really sure because I had really high expectations going into it, but it definitely exceeded them, and I was so happy with the way it was done, and I highly recommend reading it. The next book on my list is Mask of Shadows by Lindsay Miller, and I just filmed my book review for this, so I will link that either up there or down there, so you all can check out my full thoughts on this. And I was lucky enough to receive an arc of Mask of Shadows, which is out on August 29th, 2017, and I absolutely loved this novel. It was wonderful. It features a gender-fluid thief as the main character, and it deals with a fantasy world and assassins, and is great, and I recommend it, and I just think that you should read it because it is a good book. And if you would like to know more about it, then check out my review. The last book on my list is How to Make a Wish by Ashley Herring Blake, which is a book featuring a female-by-female romance and a love interest of color, and I am absolutely loving it. You might be wondering, why are you reading an arc that came out in May in August? And you know what? That is a very good question, and I don't have an answer to that. But I am absolutely loving this novel, and I am hoping to get a review out when I am done with it, because it is an arc, so I am technically supposed to do a review. So even if it is like 4 months late, why not release one anyway? So be on the lookout for that coming out sometime soon, and then you can hear all my thoughts on it. Now, as I am filming this over a week before it is going out, because I will not have lots of time to film closer to the time it is supposed to go out, I may have finished more books by then, so just be aware of that. If you see me talking about all the books I read in August and you're like, oh wait, that wasn't in your wrap-up though, and well, that's because I filmed this really early, and pre-filming means that sometimes you don't have all the facts correctly because time. But wait, before you go, I want to talk to you all about the wonder that is audiobooks. This past month, I have discovered the beauty of audiobooks. I had heard so many people talking about them, and I had seen quite a few discussions about them, so I was like, well, I need to try out an audiobook for myself. So I asked you all lovely people for some help on my Twitter, and you all recommended the Overdrive app through my library, so that is what I am currently using. I started listening to The Hunger Games before realizing I didn't really want to listen to it, but I have discovered the wonder of audiobooks, and I'm hoping that once Harry Potter is finally available in my library, I will get a chance to listen to that in its completeness, and I'm super excited. And just audiobooks are great, and I just discovered that, and I'm super late on the bandwagon, but I'm a reverse hipster, so just let me live. I hope you all enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a like and subscribe, because that stuff makes me happy. And comment down below, have you read any of these books? Did what I say make you want to pick any of them up? What books have you read recently? Because I would love to know and get some new recommendations for what I should be reading. And as usual, all of my social media and my Goodreads will be linked in the description below, as well as all the trigger warnings and diversity information for all of the books talked about in this video, because I want you all to have all of the information before you go into it. And thank you all so much for watching. I hope you are having a lovely day or night wherever you are. Please remember you're beautiful and you deserve the world, and I will see you this Sunday with a brand new video. Goodbye!